starting now. If you want to record it in addition, that's okay by me. Okay. Welcome to the Factional Warfare 101 and 102. I'll be doing them in 2 separated sessions, each taking about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, with a short break between them. So we have some question and answers in between. Introducing myself, I am Garr Anders. I've been playing EVE since 2006 and been a long time EVE University member. I am a pretty casual player. I've been doing PvE missions for mining. I also was part of some of the E-UNI wars, but due to my casual playstyle, I was not always able to participate in the PvP operations. For that, I used to switch over to a covered ops as soon as I got there, and have been doing some scouting, because that allowed me with my limited time to jump in, do some scouting, and then leave again. So my PvP experience in the E-UNI is somewhat limited. I joined Factional Warfare right when it came out, and I've been leading some fleets over there and doing some solo PvP stuff. And on request, I started to work on a Factional Warfare class, and here it is. You can see in my bio the outline of the class, which will be for Factional 101 more or less an introduction to what it is at all, what is Factional Warfare, why you should consider joining it, what rewards do await you, what consequences it has on your playstyle, on what you're doing inside, also what requirements you should meet before you can join, and what you consider if you want to join at all. Also, in a short way, how to get in and get out. The second part, which is starting at hopefully 9, when everything goes to schedule, will be about the details about Factional Warfare, how the mechanics work, an explanation of what is plexing, I will explain it later, why you should do that, how fleets are handled inside there, some strategies and tactics I picked up while being in Factional Warfare, and more about what you do when you're already inside. Okay. Just grabbing my notes. So we start with what is Factional Warfare. Factional Warfare is being introduced by CCP during the summer expansion of 2008 called Empyrean Age. Role-playing wise, or in-game wise, or history-wise, it moves the story further on in the EVE universe. If you have been reading on some of the mission descriptions, if you read them at all, you can read that there is a growing tension between the 4 empires, mainly between the Amarr and the Minmatar, and the Kaldari and the Galente. This growing tension is moved with the Empyrean Age finally into a more or less war stage, which is the factional war between those 4 empires. You can read that up in the Empyrean Age novel, which is semi-good, but it's still a good read if you like reading about EVE. And since the Empyrean Age expansion, we have let me start over again. With the creation of the factional warfare system introduced with the Empyrean Age, CCP created 4 militias, which are linked in my bio. These 4 militias are in a certain kind of war state, as proxy wars for the 4 empires. Since Concord doesn't allow really the 4 empires to go at war themselves, the empires created these militias to fight their war they want to do in the low-sec areas where Concord is not regulating combat. In addition, for these 4 militias, all 4 empires are in a high-sec empire war, so that these militias are allowed to fight within the E-UNI Convention, even in empire. The idea for factional warfare is, or the game mechanical idea, or the overall intention of factional warfare is to create an easier step for the people from going from PvE experience into the PvP experience. It allows a more casual PvP, as you don't need hour-longs for fleet setups, and you have always targets which you can find, which you can shoot. Yes. So these 4 militias are in a constant war with each other, and they fight mainly in low sec. CCP introduced for that the new term called occupancy. Occupancy is a new status for a system in the low security systems. This occupancy can switch from the 2 fighting empires, between the Amarr and Minmatar, or between the Galenta and Kaldari. This occupancy switches by gaining victory points, which you gain by doing factional warfare missions or doing these new plexes, which are also introduced with the factional warfare experience. These plexes are deck space areas where you go and do a certain kind of King of the Hill or Capture the Flag type of game. I'll be explaining this more in detail in the second part of the factional warfare class. These plexes are, like I already mentioned, dead space areas gated by an acceleration gate. These acceleration gates have ship restrictions on them. These ship restrictions keep the focus in factional warfare on smaller ship hulls, on frigates and cruisers mainly. This is also to make it easier for new people, or for carrier people, or for new people to get into factional warfare or into PvP at all, since you don't need those high skill points to get into a battleship, or need lots of cash to support you to fly battleships, since most of the stuff you do in factional warfare is done in frigates and cruiser-sized ships. So this altogether is an incentive to get the people to PvP in EVE. So to make it easier to going from high sec into low sec and then later on into 0-0 space. Factional warfare is designed as a step between it, so the rewards are somewhat limited, as it is not the intention of CCP to have people stay forever in factional warfare. It should bridge the people coming from non-PvP to PvP and then later into 0-0. So why should you join, or why should you consider joining factional warfare? As I mentioned, it is designed as easy step into PvP, especially with the ship restrictions and the focus on the frigate and cruiser-sized hulls. It is fairly easy to get into it. Getting good skill-wise flying a frigate is fairly easy. So, as well as getting into a cruiser, and with the restrictions on the acceleration gates, which you have on those dead space areas where you fight inside, it's not always the guy with the bigger ship winning a fight. It's always the guy who is more organized, or who's willing to fight. It's not bigger and better. It's not battleship wins over battlecruiser, but it's you have to get your cruisers inside there, and you have to use certain tactics. So it's not bigger and better or more skill points. So the design of it is already to make it easier to get into PvP. Also, when you join a militia, you join people who want to fight as well, and who want to fight alongside with you. There are always people who want to grief you or attack people from their own side, but they are in a very minority. Most people who join factional warfare want to fight the other side, want to fight the opposing side. So there's a certain mutual agreement on shooting the other side. So you can fleet up fairly easy if you are in a militia. The difference between just hanging around in low-sec and joining a militia is that people who hang around in low-sec usually are pirates or anti-pirates, or people who just sneak in to do their missions or do some ninja mining and get out again. So, looking at pirates are in low-sec because they can shoot people. They are looking for profit, mainly. They want to make a living from it. So they are looking for an easy prey. They are not looking for somebody who is flying in an even size fleet. They want something which they can gank easily, more or less. Not everybody is like that, but not every pirate is like that, but mainly the idea of a pirate is to make profit in low-sec. As anti-pirate, you're looking for pirates. So you're looking for people with low security status who are, again, looking for people who are easy to gank. But these pirates don't want to fight you. So they avoid you if you're an anti-pirate corporation. The difference now with faction warfare is that you're looking for people who want to fight you as well. So there is no long waiting for switching systems over systems over systems, finding a pirate or an anti-pirate or easy bait. It is more or less, you get into a militia, you fleet up, you do these plexes, and around these plexes all the combat around faction warfare centers. So if you do a plex, you will be facing opposing faction militia members, more or less sooner or later, usually pretty soon. And as already said, having a lot of people who you don't really know at the beginning, but who are willing to fight with you, the opposing faction, it is very casual friendly, because if you log in, you just type an X in the militia chat, which is similar to an alliance chat, and you can already go. And if you feel confident, you just make your own fleet. You just call for fleet X's, grab the people who are there, and then go out to plexes and find the opposing faction to shoot them. So in all, it is, if you're interested in PvP, faction warfare is the place to be, in my opinion. So if you join faction warfare, what rewards will you be awaiting? This is a little bit tricky. There's this term that CCP tends to stamp on everything they push out in the recent expansions, which is called pre-nerfed. In case of faction warfare, this means there are faction warfare missions which you can do, but these missions usually take you deep into enemy space, so you have to do a lot of jumps into low-sec, so you have a certain risk meeting other people, but you're looking for PvP anyway, so that's the idea of getting deep into enemy space. You will be getting at a beacon, which is visible to everybody, so the opposing faction can find you easy as too. And we're facing some NPCs there, but these NPCs are very weak, and they won't give out any bounties. Navy fleets of the opposing factions won't give any bounties, so there's no bounty in it. Doing these faction warfare missions will give you some standings, some ISK, and some loyalty points, just as normal missions, but the reward is fairly low. So, it is more profitable, ISK-wise and loyalty point-wise, just doing regular missions for the regular corporations. Your standing increase is fairly big with the Empire, but you have also a very severe standing drop with the opposing Emperor, naturally, because you're splitting their navies. So, ISK-wise and loyalty points, there's not really a real reward. When your standing with your own militia increases while being in faction warfare and while doing plexes and faction warfare missions, you gain ranks within the militia. These ranks are nice to look at, but again, they don't have any benefits. CCP said to faction warfare a lot that PvP should be a reward on itself. So PvPing is a reward for PvPing, and that's why they kept a lot of those rewards, which are in-game wise, credits and loyalty points, very, very low. So you won't get rich if you're doing faction warfare. So if you join, what consequences will you face? First of all, as I already said, joining a militia is joining the state of constant high-sec war deck. You have two militias who are allied, which are the Minmatar and the Galente, who are fighting the two other militias, which are the Amar and the Kaldari. Everywhere where you are a target. As I tend to say, the only safe space in EVE is at the login screen. Now, if you are in your empire, or if you're fighting for your empire, the empire is also fighting the opposing militia. So that means each empire is defending its own high-sec space. If a member of the Minmatar militia enters the Amar high-sec empire, the Amar will spawn NPC navies on you at the gate, or everywhere where you are. So it is not that easy for a Minmatar militia member to get into Amar high-sec space, because he will face these NPC navy fleets, NPCs who will fighting him, who are tankable, who will be webbing you, who will be shooting you, who will be nozzing you and using EZM, but they will never rob disrupt or rob scram you. So you will always be able to run away. Depending on the security system of the system you're entering, the higher it gets, the more stronger the NPC navies will be. These NPC navies will not drop very good loot, or if they drop loot at all, and they don't drop any salvage, as far as I can remember, because TCP doesn't want people starting to tank NPC navies in the opposing faction empire space and then just farm them. So being in your own space means that the empire is defending its own space, but it's not there to protect you. So you're fairly safe within your space, but you're not 100% safe. High-sec suicide gangs have been common, where people take a lot of fast hits, doing high alpha damage, into the enemy space and shooting what they can find. If you are now in a militia, you still have access to all the corporations you had before. So you can still do missions for every corporation which your standing is still valid for. If your standing drops with that, you lose the access to the agents naturally. Doing missions for agents in the opposing faction space is naturally very difficult because of the Empire Navy spawns. Mining in factional warfare some people say it's not a good idea. I've been doing it all the time. It is dangerous, as if a high-sec suicide gang is coming your way, they can shoot you right away. But if you're clever enough, if you watch local, and if you're not doing it AFK, I don't see really a problem with it. It is, as always in EVE, only fly what you can afford to lose. So if you want to keep mining because you need it for cash, or because you want to build your own ships, you can still do that. But be aware, you're not safe in your high-sec space. The NPC navies that will spawn are not there to protect you. They are only fighting the opposing faction members. The impact on trading and hauling is, as long as you stay in your own faction, you're more or less safe. I haven't undocked anything bigger than a battleship. I have a freighter, but I'm not going to undock it while I'm in factional warfare, because you can bump away from the station gate, because it's very slow and it aligns very slow. I also cannot go to Jita anymore because I'm in the Minmatar militia, but I find that the local market is busy enough for me that I can get everything what I need over there. Sometimes stuff is easier in Jita, but a lot of people support the remains anyway with holler art, so you can create a holler art on your account as well. And if you really need stuff need to buy stuff in Jita, you can do it on an alt. So as everything where players are fighting, as everything is where players are fighting players, you will face a huge variety of different people fighting. That includes also very different flight commanders or fleet commanders. I've heard very horrifying stories of Kaldari fleet commanders. I cannot say how they are because I've only been in the Minmatar, and luckily all fleet commanders I've been flying with in Minmatar militia have been pretty decent. Apart from the different quality of fleet commanders, it is fairly easy to get an alt into the opposing faction. So you also have spies and militias. This altogether is, although the people who are with you in the militia want to fight the opposing side, this is still Eve. You never know who might backstab you. So you have to watch a little bit and filter out who you can really trust if you're in the militia. There's also, wherever players are fighting players, drama everywhere. You have certain flight commanders who don't like other flight commanders, you have people who have strong opinions, and you have the occasional war between two members of their own militias. You can join a militia, which I forgot to say, as a single player. In that case you join the NPC militias, but you can also join with your whole corporation. And wherever, I already said, wherever people are coming together and have different opinions, you have drama. And so we already had player corporations within the Minmatar faction fighting each other. No, if you join the militia, you have to leave the E-UNI and join the NPC militia or join a factional warfare corporation or player corporation. I'm not watching chat really right now, so spare your questions for the end of the first session. It makes it a little bit easier for me. This is the first time I run a class, so I hope it gets more smooth if I do it the second time. No problem. Yeah, so expect also drama. So what requirements should you meet if you want to join militia? Game-wise, you only need 0.5 standing with the empire you want to join. So you need 0.5 standing with the Armada Empire if you want to join the Armada side, or 0.5 with the Kadari, or 0.5 with the Minmatar. If you want to join with your whole corporation, your corporation standing needs to be 0.5 with the appropriate empire. Okay, apart from that, there's no game requirement to join faction warfare. I think even as a trial, even on a trial, you can join it. There are a few recommendations I would give. That it would be having Eve Voice ready, and maybe TeamSpeak and Ventrilo. Eve Voice became very prominent with faction warfare because it is accessible for everybody who joins it, and on Minmatar side, it is common that every fleet happens or uses Eve Voice as their main coordination tool. And flying without voice in PvP in Eve is like self-destruction in your own ship. So I wouldn't do that. Skill-wise, as I already mentioned, frigates and cruisers are the main ships flown in faction warfare. So the minimum you might need, in my opinion, is being able to fly a frigate, fit a micro-warp drive, a rubber, and a scrammer. Because then you're tackler. And tacklers, just like in Eve fleets, are always needed. You can do it in a Reaper if you want to, if you're a Minmatar. I would say it's possible too. We have also taken huge fleets of very easy Tet 1 frigates in the Minmatar militia and just going out and killed a Typhoon with it. I think we had 20 frigates, slashes, and we came along a Disco Typhoon, and it came at the gate, scrammed it, and pew, there it was, and there it was gone. So you only really need a frigate. That's all you need. Having E-UNI as background, I can also recommend some classes which are having done the overview class, because you want to fiddle around a little bit with your overview. Just like the class we had before, you want to reduce lag as much as possible. You want to see your enemies, and you don't want friendlies on your overview. So I would recommend the overview class. Doing the fleet movement class is mandatory, I would say, if you want to join it. Knowing how to use the directional scanner is of usage too, and how to use the star map. Disk-wise, a recommendation is having enough ships ready and having them ready to get lost. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frigates ready and fitted, and say goodbye to them, and you're ready to go. That is what I say are the requirements if you want to join. Coming to what should I consider before I join? Okay, as I said, entering the opposing faction empires is fairly difficult, so I would move all your valuable assets out of the opposing faction space. Before you join, I would make sure that you have set your overview the way you want it, and I would set up a base near those faction warfare systems. As I said, faction warfare happens mostly in the low security systems. It's a little bit tricky to find them, and I recommend for that using Ombi's map pack, who has one map where the factional war low-sec areas are displayed on, and picking the system close to it. So if you lose a ship, you don't have to fly far away to get a new ship, because fleets are fast. Are compared to E-UNI, they are very fast. They move fast around, they have always something to do, and they are usually on the move. So you want them as close as possible to the area where you are fighting. For a Minmatar militia, Amamak is the common rally ground where the most fleets start. Common, not mostly, not all of them, but commonly. I don't know those for the Galanter, I don't know those for the Khadari and Amar, but I think each of them has a certain area where they commonly group up for their fleet. Yeah, you have to find that out. I don't think the Amar would tell me. Apart from that, that is all you have to consider before you join. Joining and leaving, how do I get in and get out? Getting in, as I already said, is fairly easy. You just go to one of the militia offices and click on the join button if you have the appropriate standing. That's all you have to do. If you join, you get another chat window, which is going to be your main chat window. More or less, that is the militia chat window. It is similar to the Alliance chat in the end, because everybody in militia has access to it. If they are in the player corporation, it is like their Alliance window. If you are in the NPC militia, it is where you chat at all. In the NPC corp windows, there's usually just a little bit chatter going on. Most of the stuff is happening and organized in the militia chat window. Apart from that, that's all which you have to do if you want to join. Join there, fly to a station of one of those 4 militias. I have linked them in my bio, and click the join button. That's it. If you want to join with the whole corporations, it has to be done by your CEO or director. Joining and leaving the militia is fairly easy. You can leave the militia everywhere where you are, so you can be in spaces too, but you have a 24-hour cooldown before you can rejoin the militia. I know from certain corps who join the militia on a weekend basis, on a weekly basis. They are 1 week they are in the militia, 1 week they are not. And I know people who are solo who jump in the militia for the weekend and leave it after the weekend to do their missions or do their stuff they want to do normally in high sec, or want to go shopping in Jita again if they are part of the Minmatar. So there's no restriction on joining and leaving it apart from this 24-hour cooldown. There's restriction on shooting your own faction members. If you shoot a player of your own faction, you will drop in standing. You will not be kicked out immediately, but if your standing drops below the 0.5 needed, you will be kicked out of the militia. We know of pirates or people who join certain corporations who have very low Minmatar Republic standing. And in principle, they cannot join the NPC militia, but they join a player corporation where the player corporation has high enough standing so they can participate on the Minmatar side if they want to, even if they have negative standing with the Minmatar militia. Apart from that, that is everything I wanted to do in this part of the class. I'm at half an hour, so I open the class or the chat for questions if you have any questions. No questions? How big fleets do I usually see on the Minmatar side? I can only talk for the Minmatar side. On the Minmatar side, fleets tend to be between 5 and 15 people on a regular base. More toward 10 people, 5 to 10 people, if you're doing it during odd hours. We have a lot of player corporations who are dedicated members of the faction of the Minmatar faction, and luckily they always pick up people in militia chat. So we have not very player corporations only fleets hanging around. So yes, you have usually 2, 3, 4 people from one player corporation, and a lot of people they pick up from the militia. I have seen fleets during the weekend going up to 20, and the biggest fleet I ever have been was about 100. Can you give info on the E-UNI faction corps? Again, I can only talk about the Minmatar faction war corps for the E-UNI, which is Takyu, where I'm part of, and I am currently the only member, sadly. But the corporation is open for everybody who has been in the E-UNI on a come and go basis. So if you want to join, you join in. If you want to leave, you can leave anytime you want. There are no really rules for joining or leaving it. So it's just like Ruse or dropping out of war. You drop in and out of into a war if you want to join for Takyu. I don't know how the other militias are handled, but I think they have a similar basis. You lose standing when you shoot the NPC navies of the opposing faction. You lose standing and you gain standing when you do faction warfare missions, when you are part of the fleet who completes one of those plexes. But if you avoid those plexes and only shoot the opposing faction members, you do not lose standing with the opposing faction empire. This is as far as I know. This is a little bit tricky, but as far as I know, if you only keep shooting the opposing faction players, you won't lose any standing. But don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure on that. So when you join the NPC militia, you can come online, and the system will tell you if fleets are going or not in the militia chat. It happens all in the militia chat. If you get on, you usually have a lot of chatter in the militia chat, and at least for the Minmatar, and I have some reports from the Galenta Kadari, it is always that people are looking to fleet up, looking for a fleet commander, or looking for people to fleet up. So usually there's always a fleet going, ongoing, building, or just leaving. So it is fairly easy to get into a fleet. I have taken fleets into faction warfare and keep getting people into the fleet even while I'm out. You have squad commanders where you can give the squad commanders the ability to invite people into the fleet, so you can keep your fleet going while you're on the move. Regarding the shooting the other players, I think there was one addendum to it. If you shoot members of the opposing non-player or the not-player corporation within the militia, you might lose some standing, but I'm not 100% sure on that. That is the tricky part of it, where I cannot say if it's 100% that way or not. So if you shoot a player corp in the opposing faction member, you won't lose any standing. But how it is with the NPC player corporation in the militia, where you can join a single player, I am not 100% sure on that. Any more questions? Doesn't look like there are any more questions. Then short feedback. Am I talking too fast? Am I understandable?
That's a good question, actually.
Yes, I see now. I was not scrolling down. Sorry. Faction warfare is laggy. I'm not 100% sure on how it is right now. I have been playing at odd hours just to avoid the laggy situations. I haven't been playing or PvPing in the last 2 or 3 weeks, so I don't know how it has been there. But before, it gets laggy during the weekend, during the prime times, but at odd hours it's not that bad. What do I do more in faction warfare? Missions or plexes? I mainly do plexes because I think they're fun. You gain standing, you gain ranks, and you get easy PvP. Some people say I don't like plexes because I want to PvP, but the best thing to find people to fight against is to do plexes. About going to the opposing faction trade hubs and locking them down, I haven't heard about it in a long time. I know that during the beginning of faction warfare it was fairly easy to tank the NPC navies in high sec, and I know that the Galente took a big fleet into Jita and was camping Jita. I haven't heard about it in a long time, and I'm not sure if it's possible because CCT made them a little bit more stronger. I haven't seen Ushra Khan or the UK in the militia themselves, but I think they have some people hanging out there. I think they are located fairly far away from the low-sec areas where the faction warfare is happening, so I don't see them very often. I heard about CDA helping out some player corporations, but they have this Rounder support, which was also in some of the in-game news. How much control influence does the fleet commander has? Militias are non-regulated alliances, so everybody can join who has appropriate standing, and every player corporation can join. There's nobody enforcing anything. As a fleet commander, you have all the possibilities you have as a normal fleet commander as well. If you don't like somebody, just kick him out of your fleet. Apart from that, you cannot do very much. On the Minmatar side, we have a few fleet commanders who band together and who try to work together. They have a certain rule that every ship they kill, everything they loot goes into a pot, which they sell, and everybody who loses a ship while being in their fleet gets their ship replaced. But this is done on the Minmatar side with a few fleet commanders. Apart from that, the fleet commander has only the normal in-game fleet command controls over his fleet. Does faction warfare work with my casual playstyle? Yes, it works very, very well with my casual playstyle. When I have an hour or two, I log in and I want to fight. I grab usually my Rupture and see if I can pick up a fleet. And if I feel confident or have 2 or 3 hours more, then I pick up a fleet and see if I can do some plexes. The Minmatar side is looking for fleet commanders, just like E-UNI, and they are trying to enforce smaller fleets, not make them too big, so you have more people roaming around and doing more plexes at the same time. So, yes, I think faction warfare is the best thing ever happening to me for EVE. Is faction warfare is laggy? As I said, at prime times I fear it is laggy, and I don't know how laggy it really is right now, as I haven't been flying around in faction warfare the last 2 or 3 weeks. But if you stick to the smaller gangs, I think you can avoid it. Militia missions are in low sec space only, yes. You always have to fly in low sec if you want to do something militia related. I do normal missions for, don't tell the RMR, I do normal missions in high sec Empire for my normal level 4, level 3, level 2 agents, whatever I want to do. Yes, it is possible, but as I said, you are in a high sec Empire war, so if you are unlucky in your pimped out battleship on your way to your mission spot and run into a high sec suicide gang of the RMR Emperor in my case, and they scram you and wrap you down and kill you, it can happen. Haven't happened to me yet. Can I join multiple times using the retail edition pass? I don't know. I'm not sure what the state of the E-UNI is to the Wicked Militia members, but as far as I can remember, Piedra and I agreed that between fuck you and the E-UNI, if you switch between the Uni and fuck you, you can come and go. The difficulty might be getting into the Uni back because the recruitment offers are usually pretty busy, but your application should be handled fairly fast. I haven't worked with any alliances during my Minmatar faction warfare time. I don't know a lot about Ushra Khan. I've been looking at him a few times, but I don't have any direct knowledge about Ushra Khan. There are a few factional warfare focused corporations, yes. These corporations are looking for players who join them, newbie or not newbie, and they are looking for people they can shoot, usually on the other side of the faction. I haven't seen other factional warfare focused corps who want to gank their own newbies, because there's no really a purpose in doing that, because your faction standing will drop, and then you will drop out of the factional warfare. Naturally you can shoot your members of your own corporation, but those focused PvP corps in factional warfare who are dedicated to the factional warfare usually fight for the Minmatar cause. They want to, in-game wise, liberate Minmatar from the Omar oppression. They are heavy into plexing, some of them are even anti-pirate, and they are always looking for recruit. Usually, if a factional warfare corps, I've seen 2 of them, was very dedicated to the one side they were fighting for, they grew stronger, get bigger, and then they made the step going out into 0-0 space. So, faction warfare is kind of a recruitment area where you can find people who want to PvP, create a corporation or get them into your corporation, and then go out into the 0-0 space or find something you want to do on your own. What are the requirements to be a competent fleet commander? There are a lot of stuff on it on the E-UNI forums about what is a good fleet commander. I would say, in short, what the best thing is you need to know as fleet commander is knowing ships. Just knowing the different ships and the different fittings. And a lot of them, because you have to call primaries. The rest comes naturally, more or less, if you try it out. And there is nothing against bad fleet commanders in Minmatar militia. If you do it the first time, you have some people who are supporting you as fleet commander, but nobody is very bad at you if you get your whole fleet wiped out. At least not the time I've been there. The biggest ship you can use in faction warfare is everything you can get into a low-sec system. So if you're willing to sino a mothership or a carrier into a low-sec area and dropping it onto a opposing faction or militia fleet, you can do so. But main ships you need in faction warfare are frigates and cruiser-side ships, or they are Tech 2 variants, so interceptors or hacks. But again, the main fleets the main ships are frigates and cruisers. If I recommend militia missions for younger players with their level 1 and level 2 ships, Level 1 and Level 2 should be frigates and cruiser-sized ships. And if you want to do those faction warfare militias, it means you fly into the opposing faction area in low sec, fight a few NPCs, and fly back. That's all you do. If you can do it sneaky, you can do it with as a level 1 or level 2 mission player, but there's no profit in it. If you want to do it to PvP, you might be weaker because you're on your own. So the dangerous part is flying on your own. If you find some people who want to do that mission with you, as I said, the reward is nearly nil, but if you find people who want to do it with you, you can do it also. You can do that. I wouldn't say you are too weak for it, but you can do them, you can finish them, but you won't get into PvP, which is the idea of doing faction warfare. Just as Warren said, you mostly fly into the space and fly back. It's a lot of jumps, take a lot of time, and there's not much credits or loyalty points in it. You can use battle cruisers, yes. Looking forward to those plexes, just jumping forward into my second part, there are 4 different sizes of restrictions on those plexes. The unrestricted one, where you can jump in your mothership if you want to, where everything can fly into. Then you have everything up to battle cruisers and hacks, but no battleships. The next smaller size is cruisers and assault frigates, and the smallest size is frigates. Regarding motherships and titans in faction warfare, during the first 2 weeks, I think it was RA or what's this Star faction who jumped in a mothership or a titan or even a titan into a faction warfare system. Apart from that, I know that from Scrap Heap Challenge that there were 2 allied alliances. One guy in Apocalypse battleship doing an unrestricted plex, and he was asking for support, and somebody jumped his Titan and shot his Doomsday onto the plex and wiped everything. So apart from that, I haven't heard about Titans or motherships in faction warfare. Okay, I think now I have all missions. Now I'm at the bottom of the chat. Oh, then I don't know what he shot. But he killed, the Titan pilot killed the battleship and everything inside. Don't know what it was then. If I have plans for TAQ, yes, I have plans for TAQ. I would like to have a lot of people inside, going out and shooting a lot of armor pigs. But, yeah, I'm missing the people. I had planned originally to have a frigate and cruiser replacement program for everybody who joins factional warfare in TAQ as option. The point is, how do I fund it? As factional warfare is mainly a big ISK thing. You lose a lot of ships and lose a lot of fittings if you're flying into that. I don't have a real idea how do I fund my frigate and cruiser replacement program, mainly Rifter and Rupture replacement program, because I'm paying that all of out of my own wallet. But just a short drop in. The Galanta and Minmatar fighting fighting together against Amar and the Qadari, but the objectives are to the battles themselves. So the Galanta can support shooting players in the Minmatar Amar faction warfare, and he can shoot those players, but he cannot really contribute to gaining or losing systems. I think he can scan for plexus, but he cannot finish the plexus. I hope the forum is up again. I have linked 3 of the faction warfare corps of the university there. I forgot the names. 7th Golden Lancers has been the Amaron, but I haven't heard about them a long time. And there have been the Grenadier, something was the Kaldari one, which is hosted and directed by Silent Brick, as far as I remember. Okay. Destroyers are allowed in the small plexus as well. Frigates, destroyers, and industrials, if you want to take them into there, are allowed in the smallest plexus. Up to cruisers and Tech 2 frigates in the normal, second smallest ones. Up to battle cruisers and hacks in the 3rd category, which are the major ones, and the unrestricted allow everything. Battle badges, if you want to take them, yes, you can do that. Yes, you're standing with the Armada Empire will drop, and even if you're not in the faction or warfare militia, if you're standing with the opposing empire is below -5, the empire will spawn faction navies on you. Should you spread your faction standing around to avoid this? If you want to avoid that, spread your faction standing around and try to do factions and missions for the opposing faction so you can keep it up. I don't know if it's feasible because I never cared about my Armada standing. I know some people do it, I don't know how successful they are. Okay, spreading out your militia, spreading out your faction standing to avoid the -5 empire standing even when you're not in the militia. Having -5 and not being in the militia will still spawn navies on you, and to avoid that, you can spread your faction standing or try to do missions for the opposing faction to keep it up. I know some people are doing that. I don't know how successful they are, because those people who are doing it join the militias only on a weekend basis or a weekly basis. So they have access to all other factions and all their own corporations if they're out of the militia and can do the missions for them normally. High-sec navy ships still fightable. I usually don't wait to fight them. As I said, they web you, they NOS, they newt, and they ECM you as far as I know. They never warp, scramble, or warp disrupt you. But if you're unlucky and a player of the opposing faction is around and he puts a warp scrambler on you, you're stuck. And so I haven't been in Jita or in any Armada space for a long time. I've passed there once by accident, but I usually don't stay and fight them. There's also no point in standing and fighting them because they don't drop any good loot and they don't drop any good salvage. CCP removed that to make them not farmable. Okay, slowly coming to an end. We have now 5, 4, 9 o'clock. Give me a short break and I try to get, and we get back to the second part of faction warfare, where I'm going to describe in detail what you do when you're plexus, what you do when you are doing plexus, and everything else when you are inside the militia. Some tactics and strategies I picked up there, picking up intel, how you get good into a fleet, what you should do when you're inside. I have the outline again posted in my bio, and I hope I stick to it myself, not jumping forth and back. Okay, short break. See you in about 4 minutes.